Hello and welcome to episode 7 of Everse Chat. This episode is brought to you by the letter E.
Everse Chat.
Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 7. Happy Friday. I hope you're having a great and productive day. So, over the week, I had some interesting stuff pop up. It was actually kind of a blast from the past and kind of made my blood boil for a little bit, but I was very inspired by episode 6. So I just decided to talk it out and see, why I felt the way I felt given this particular topic and happening. So this episode is really about ethics and morality and my thoughts on what and how a person should be when they are conducting business. So I hope you enjoy the topic. As always, I crave your feedback. This continuation actually came from some feedback that I got. Again, it was like a phone call, so please, use comments, all of that. Text message me if you have my phone number. But yep, without further ado, let's get into it. Distinction between ethics and morality, and I found it really interesting that when you look at a law dictionary, ethics and morality are generally the same thing. So according to a Webster's Law Dictionary, ethics are standards of honesty and fairness in the conduct of a business or profession, often embodied in written rules adopted by professional associations. It has a few more definitions here. Moral principles, generally. And then the branch of philosophy that deals with values relating to human conduct with respect to rightness and wrongness of certain actions, and to the goodness and badness of the motives and ends of such actions. So there's even some Kantian slant on there, using ends versus means and whatnot. Now, if you look at, who is this? This is a simple Google search. I believe they just use dictionary.com or perhaps Webster. If you look at morality in a non-law dictionary, it says principles concerning the distinction between right and wrong and good and bad behavior. Then it goes on to say a particular system of values and principles of conduct, especially when held by a specified person or society. So that's very interesting, the different takes on those two words. So as an entrepreneur, as an aspiring business person, as a regular employee in a 9-to-5 situation, why should you even care about this? Why is Kel taking the time to sit here and read these dictionary meanings about some seriously pedantic stuff? Who cares about this? Kind of like in math class in elementary school, or well, maybe not elementary, but middle school. When are we ever going to use this? That's a good question, and I find myself faced with this more oftentimes than not. The reason I wanted to talk about this sort of again is I had a very interesting conversation with my neighbor about just the different encounters in business. Now, he had a very interesting perspective. He's much older than I am, which I came to respect as the conversation went on. And he had a very mature sense or outlook on how people are quick to do wrong in the business setting. And I found myself thinking, wow, this guy sounds very bitter. But at the same time, I found myself agreeing with him and bringing up all these different scenarios where, hey, I've experienced that. I've experienced that too. I've experienced that. Huh. This is very interesting that I keep commiserating with this guy, even though some part of my mind was thinking, wow, this guy is so jaded. I hope I never become like that. So that got me thinking, what is it about being a decision maker that allows people to slip in and out of goodness, badness, and somewhere in between? So I decided, let me look up, words that I know are very closely associated with goodness and badness, doing the right thing, doing the wrong thing, a person's general affect or disposition toward action in the business setting. So I looked up morality and ethics, as you saw. And one thing I noticed was that, at least in my experience, people tend to take a very morally relativistic stance when it comes to acting in the capacity of whatever their position is for their company, for who they work for whatever. Now, just to provide another definition here, moral relativism is loosely the belief that morals, or right, wrong, good, bad, is a subjective thing or set of things that is highly dependent on the person doing the acting. So, that may be something that is acceptable to them. So what is it? Who are you as an observer to question the rightness and wrongness of what that person is that you see, whatever they're doing? There's a lot more to that, and I would encourage you to just look it up on your own. But that's kind of what we're rocking with for now, is this belief that morals are not one monolithic thing, that they can change, and that they are multifaceted and subjective to the person observing. So you have the observer and the actor, and morals can be different between those, given the same outcome. Going with that definition there, what never ceases to amaze me is the amount of mental gymnastics a person will go through to justify an action taken on behalf of their employer, on behalf of their company, what have you. So to draw out this point, I think it's appropriate to tell a story. So let's get into story time. And it's story time. So settle in and sip your tea and listen to another freaking crazy story from my adventures in business. As always, the names, locations, and businesses are changed just to protect people's privacy. As salty as I am sometimes, I'm not that petty, but these stories, I just tend to laugh at them. So this particular story takes place in our city of operations there in Houston, and it happened sometime last year. And the crazy thing about all this was, again, the degree to which a person will lie to themselves, deceive themselves and others in order to protect themselves from a relatively simple omission or decision. So, as it goes, my brother and I wanted to start a clinic, or at least partner with a clinic. There are different laws preventing non doctor, physician, whatever the heck you want to call it, personnel from actually becoming a owner of a clinic, and those laws are corporate practice and medicine laws. So we partnered with a doctor. His name was Tom. So Dr. Tom uh, he posted his clinic for sale. He said, "Hey, I have a lot going on personally, and I just want to sell my clinic." So we said, "Hey, Dr. Tom, why not partner with us? We'll manage a clinic. We have a little bit of experience there. Here's our track record, primarily with pharmacies, but we have a lot of connections that could really bolster your business there." Long story short, we convinced the guy to not sell his clinic, but turn over some of the day-to-day operations to us. Let us look for another physician so that he can go handle his whatever he had going on in his personal life. He thought the idea was great. We brought in a few ancillary services, well, proposed ancillary services, and he was all about it. I make a few trips out to Houston, and I meet him. He was a very nice guy. My only concern was that when it came time to look at any different agreements, he would get real squirrely. But if you've ever dealt with doctors tend to be very terrible business people, and understandably so. They did not go to school for 8, 10, whatever, however the heck many years they go to school. I should say decades, for business. They went for medicine. They are geniuses when it comes to the body, diagnosis, what have you. But when it comes to running a business, they probably have the same business prowess as like a toddler or something. So we saw very quickly how he could start saving money. So we throw him one as a freebie. So before we have anything signed, he was very nervous about, how do I know you're just not out to get me? Because again, I think that was episode 3, Houston. So we throw him a freebie. Do this, let us know if it works. Comes back and he's like, "Hey, it worked. I'm still upside down, but it's only like $1,000 something a month that I'm upside down now, instead of 4,000 every month or week, whatever it was." So we say, "All right, Dr. Tom, if you think we've proven ourselves, can we move forward?" He says, "Sure, sure, sure." That was his thing. "Sure, sure, 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 sure." Sit down, bring our clinical director out there. We have the contract in hand. I've sent this guy this contract like 3 or 4 times. We had text message thread going and everything, sending us Happy New Year gifts with, flower, I don't know. And so, things were good. Things were great. He never signs it. He just has more questions. We had a particular piece of machinery we had to move in at a certain time. So we say, "Hey, Dr. Tom, is it okay, pending this being signed, if we move this in? It looks like everything's moving in the right direction, and we just need to know. If you're not okay with it, it's completely fine. Just let us know." What does he say? "Sure, sure, sure. No, it's fine. It's fine." So we move the piece of equipment in, and then the guy just ghosts us. He doesn't respond to anything, no text messages, no calls. And then he'll send like a brief message to one of us talking about, "Oh, well, hey, I had to go out of town because my wife's dad was really sick," or something. And I swear that this guy's wife's, well, I guess that would be his father-in-law. I swear he died like 9 times. That's not funny, but and I hope that the father-in-law is actually living still, or at least in good health. But for us, we got the dog ate my homework excuse. So at that point, we started getting nervous. We have this $100,000 piece of equipment sitting in this guy's office that we don't have access to. That he said, okay, I have no further questions about the your lease. I'm gonna go ahead and sign it. Um, and everything was just, it was very rushed. So that is a mistake on our part, that we should have just not moved it in. But when a person tells you, hey, I'm fine with it, go ahead and move it in. I understand you have time constraints, and your rent price is acceptable to me, and you pay for upgrades for a room and get it all decked out, you kind of expect that they will sign a sublease. At least for me, um, that was not the case. So this guy just continues ghosting us for about, oh, 3 or 4 months. Then out of the blue, and luckily I just happened to be in Houston on some other business, I get this call from this random guy. I've never heard of this guy. I never heard of his company. Um, Turns out that Dr. Tom assured us that he was going to keep his business. All the while he was courting some practice management company. Practice management company buys a considerable portion of his practice, and it starts employing him. Get a call from this guy. You have to come move your machine within 24 hours, or we'll put it out on the curb and we'll put it in the dumpster. So I'm thinking, wow, who the heck are you to even tell me who the heck you are, and come at me like that? And two, why would you do that to a $100,000 machine? I would think if you were really that crazy, you would at least try and sell it. So I said, hey, you know what? Don't need to do that, but give us some time to figure it out. I'm just hearing about this. I immediately called Dr. Tom, and I say, hey, what the heck? You never signed anything. You never responded. We couldn't even get in to get our machine because you kept the doors locked. Why? What's happening? Oh, well, we never signed anything, so it's okay for me to do all that. His words exactly. We never signed anything, but it's okay for me to do that. So I ask, I press the issue. What exactly are you referring to as that? Well, No, I don't know, Dr. Tom. Please enlighten me. Tell me what it is okay for you to do. Well, I have a patient in front of me. I gotta go. Yeah, sure. Guy hangs up. We never hear from him again. Get a call from the practice manager. Why did you call Dr. Tom? Well, I wanted to know what was going on. Oh, he never signed anything. He never signed anything. He never signed anything. So you can't prove it. I'm like, okay, we're playing that game. Why is the machine there? Oh, we don't know. You put it here against his wishes. So you mean to tell me that this super heavy machine that you have to have all these modifications for, so we had a contractor come build the room out and put this machine in. So we broke into his medical practice, cleared out a room, and then upgraded it and put all the stuff in there, and then have text message threads saying, oh, well, hey, it's here, it looks good. And all of that was against his will. Well, you still can't prove it because he didn't sign anything. So, that was a very stressful moment. We didn't know if these guys were serious. A few lawyers got involved. Their lawyers sent some ridiculous letter. I actually read it today, just laughing, basically saying, well, if you want to keep it here, you have to pay us rent. So this third party is asking us to pay rent for something that we don't have access to, that we've been trying to either collect or just figure out what's going on. for months. And then they want something is like $500 a day, which is completely outside of market rate. And if you know anything about medicine, you just can't do that. So now you have this lawyer involved asking for things that get them in even deeper trouble. Long story short, we were able to pick up the machine. No, we didn't pay rent for whatever their rate was. It was $500 a day or something crazy, for the inconvenience of having the room being used, being occupied, or I forgot what it was. Um, it was a lot different face to face. If anybody has met me, or my brother, I'm 6'8", he's 6'7". Yeah, they didn't put up any mess. They just went and let us move everything peacefully, and we were out. Um, so yeah, that's the end of that story. But it was very interesting that you have a person who's gone through all these steps to make you feel comfortable, to make you feel welcome. And in reality, they were exploring options. Dr. Tom was exploring his options, which is completely fine. But when he had to face the fact that he made a decision that would adversely affect another person or another group of people that he had already committed to, he relied on the fact that, well, subjectively he never made a full commitment according to this set of rules, which was, oh well, it's only real if you sign it. Not, you know, not looking at the fact that, well, you led people to believe things were okay. You it's kind of like the whole idea of screaming fire, in a crowd. You're leading people to believe something, and then saying, well, I never signed anything, so it's not real. So an example, morality versus ethics. In that case, Dr. Tom, ethically, I wouldn't even say that is ethically gray. That was, ethically wrong according to standards of practice within a profession. As a doctor, people rely on your word, and for you to say something like, "Oh, it's fine," and then back out, that's questionable. And for me, morally, he had an obligation to disclose, "Hey, I'm still exploring. I'm still exploring. This isn't for sure," and that's all it was. No one's saying, well, you can only do one or the other, but why keep people hanging for your entertainment, for your pleasure? That's not right. Back to our original topic: ethics, morality, moral relativism. I think that it is one of the many hurdles that you have to come across. It's almost like a those defining moments in movies where you have to decide: are you going to be a person that uses those things, which they are tools? Are you going to use those for your benefit, or are you going to choose to believe that, well, I could do this, but I still have to live with myself at the end of the day. I could hide behind this shield. I suppose I'm coming up with a theme here of, shields of a coward. Things that you can say that you hope will eventually excuse the fact that you're not okay with something that you did, or that something that you did is not okay with somebody else. Again, you have a choice. You can choose to, make it known what you're doing and give people fair warning. You can figure out a different way. But I don't think it's ever acceptable to say this was the only way. It was kill or be killed, unless it is actually kill or be killed. But let's face it, this is business. This is not war. So all you Sun Tzu people out there, Sun Tzu people that believe that it is war, it's not. It's business. Let's get real here. You don't have to trample other people to get what you want. There's always a better way to go about doing that type of stuff. With that being said, I want to issue you a challenge. Look at an instance where perhaps you hid behind one of these shields, whether it's just business or, well, technically I did something wrong, but if you look at it this way, it's really not that bad because it's really your fault. And just see if you can come up with a better way to do that. And next time you're faced with that situation, I challenge you to maybe take that road less traveled and see where it gets you. See if you can do something better than what your your childish entrepreneur wants to do. Let me know how it goes. All right, and that's about all the time we have. So thanks again for tuning into Everse Chat. Hit the like button, the subscribe button, send me comments on Facebook. I'm still waiting on like my first mean comment. I'm ready. I'm so ready for you. I just got done watching Iron Fist season 2 with my wife, and I want to be just as petty as Joy. No, just kidding. That's pretty petty, but yeah. I want to hear from you, and thank you for everybody that's liking the Facebook page. I just checked, YouTube, and I got some more subscribers. I had 3, and then it just jumped. So whoever referred me, or if you guys found me, thanks a lot, and I hope to hear from you. So until next time, talk to you later.